proceed to the next slide. So technical challenges. First, a brief introduction to myself. Today, I'm located in Amstelveen. It's a suburb of Amsterdam. So I'm working from abroad for most of you guys. Just like Thomas, I've been working almost half of my life within the company, or not almost, more than half of my life. I'm 48 years old, and this April it was my 25th anniversary working for CGI. All the time I've been working within the infrastructure services department. I started as a networking specialist. Later I moved to solution architect, where I was working on creating proposals for outsourcing services as we deliver within GTO. But the last 2 or 3 years I'm working as the prime architect for the services we are delivering from our department. And our department, it is GTO Central Eastern Europe, towards CGI Enterprise. So we have multiple services that we deliver to the worldwide CGI population from our business unit. And it includes the Enterprise Remote Access Service, a few security solutions like FireEye, McAfee, antivirus, the network intrusion prevention service. Besides that, also the management of our group infra Active Directory and global print. To deliver these services, we are working with a team primarily located in the Netherlands part of our GTO organization. And we have a large dedicated team for our services in India. For the Enterprise Remote Access Service, I've been prime for both the design, implementation, and the operation. Okay, technical challenges. So for a department like a GTO, it stands for Global Technology Operations, we have multiple challenges that we face during the current crisis. You can imagine that for our clients, we have a lot of challenges. All our clients are seeking guidance and seeking support from us for their daily operation. And there are a few that I just highlight here, but you can continue about the challenges we see for our external clients. One very interesting is that we are responsible for the IT services of a large hospital. And what you see during this COVID crisis, that the complete operation of the hospital went into like an emergency mode. That being said, it means that also for us as an IT supplier for the hospital, we were a part of their core business functionality. Even in a hospital, IT is a very important component. And the emergency state that hospital entered during the crisis, and still is, also reflects on our organization. And that means that even the smallest change that needs to be performed is always prioritized by the hospital simply because it needs to be done. Besides that, we have a lot of clients that have small-scale working from home solutions. They have collaboration services. But the skill that is required now with most of the people working from home is completely different. So we have challenges for our clients who need to increase capacity of remote access services, to implement services like Microsoft Teams, because their existing collaboration tool doesn't support what is required to let the people working from home. And I think most of you will recognize all of these challenges. The main part, which I'm going to explain here, is about CGI Internal. A very important element for us, for CGI Internal, is to deliver the remote access services and also the collaboration service. And in fact, that will be like your office. So normally you're working in your office location, but now remote access functionality and collaboration software for a lot of our CGI users is really a mandatory part to do their work. We have preparations to be done. When COVID was first identified in China and then spread over the world, we did some preparations by procuring additional licenses, so-called in case of emergency licenses, which allowed us to have all our remote access services running on their maximum capacity, and also bandwidth capacity has been increased to assure that all our services are able to facilitate the amount of use that we expect it to be. Okay. For the bandwidth during design phase, we calculated that the services we built were able to facilitate situations like this. So we had some challenges about IP address ranges, about potential bandwidth that could be used. All were taken into account during the design, and we assured that our gateways were able to facilitate the total number of users. Besides that, it is known that remote access facilities are not always used by all our CGI members. So we send out messages asking people to make a connection to our service and assure that the service is actually working for you. Since the remote access services we have at CGI, there's a very strict security checking when you want to use those services. And if you do not comply to the CGI security standards that apply to those gateways, you will not be able to use those gateways. So especially for this reason, we asked all the CGI members, assure you have your software in order. By doing an initial connection to the gateway, we will assure that all the compliance checking is in place and also assure that you have your authentication in place, since we use a strong two-factor authentication to validate yourself when you're trying to connect to the gateway. And as said, if you have any question, just send it in between. I can share the presentation afterwards. That's no issue. So while working from home, it brings some new challenges. First of all, most of us are living together with other people in home. For me, myself, my wife, she's working from home. She has meetings as well. My children are working from home. My daughter, she has her exams, and all it needs to fit within the house. And everybody needs to have their personal space, personal room, some silence, etc. Besides that, you need facilities like a working space. You need to have a desk where you can sit comfortably. You need to have a laptop or a VDI. That's also a common challenge. So not all companies have laptops for all their users. Sometimes there needs to be a virtual desktop infrastructure that is required to let people working from home. You need to have internet. And for us here in Europe, it's very common that you have internet. But we've seen a lot, especially in our global delivery centers in India. People were sent to home, and in their home location, they have very bad internet connection. So either they have bad reception, or they are depending on working from a mobile phone. And if you're working on a mobile phone, sometimes they have restrictions in their data access. So that's really also a challenge for people to be able to work from home. Telephones. People need to have their telephones and need to be able to use it also for their work. And of course, like I explained earlier, remote access enables you to work in your home and replace like the office location. And of course, your work needs to allow you to work from home, since if you're like a car mechanic, there's very little you can do while working from home. But that's clear. And besides that, a challenge, but I think that will be later on touched as well, is to separate work and private. If you're working from home behind your laptop, sometimes it goes seamless from working into your private life, and you need to assure that you are able to segregate it.